Hi, I'm Effie and this is What Effie Reads. Today I am going to be doing the mid-year freakout tag. This is a video that I've already recorded once, but between recording it and editing it, my answers to some of these questions have changed. Some of them I think are pretty much the same, so if it seems like I'm really quick to answer stuff, it's because I've already attempted to film this video once before. So the first question is the best book that you've read so far in 2021. There's been some really exceptional books that I've read so far this year. I kind of changed the way that I rate books between 2020 and 2021. So I've got a very limited number of 5-star reads, but this month alone, I think I've had like 3 5-star reads. It's been a month though for really exceptional books. So I can't remember what I said the last time I filmed it, but it's definitely a different video, a different book from then. But I think, I don't know actually. I've had a bit of a look at my 5 stars and my shelf for this year, and I think I'm going to say that the best book that I've read so far is Rainbow Milk by Paul Mendez, largely because I wouldn't have said that literary fiction is my genre, but this book I just absolutely loved. It had me hooked very early on, and I was very engrossed in it, and I was rooting for the characters so much. Like, honourable mentions to True Crime Story, Song Below Water, A Little Life, all those things. I think any book that I've given 5 stars this year could easily, sorry, this sunlight's really bizarre, could easily be subbed in for this because they are all just exceptional reads. The next question is best sequel that you've read so far in 2021, and for that I'm going to say Everything Together by Benjamin Class. This is the sequel to Second Dad Summer, and I loved it. It had all the same feels, it had a bit of depth to it, and it was a sequel I didn't know that I wanted, and now I just need more from this series. The next question is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. I am terrible for getting in new releases and not reading them as quickly as I would like to. I have a few that I would quite like to read. Like, I really want to read Malibu Rising. I'm kind of looking forward to, the new Casey McQuiston that for some reason I can't remember the title of. I will pop an image on screen. I'm trying to think. Circus of Wonders is still quite new. I'm really hoping I can read that soon. I'm sure by the time this video goes up, there'll be other new releases that I'll be like, oh, need to read that. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year, probably Iron Widow. I'll pop the cover on screen, but I'm very excited to read it, and it sounds really interesting. I'm also really looking forward to Redemptor, which is the sequel to Ray Bearer by Jordan Ifuka. The next question is biggest disappointment, and without a doubt, it is The Sleeper and the Spindle. I went into this book expecting it to be one way, and it really, really wasn't. And it made me so mad that it wasn't the way I expected it to. I mean, I won't give any spoilers, but I do have a vlog where I read it, where I did go into detail about just why that book was such a disappointment for me. I'll also say that The Midnight Library was quite a disappointment. Like, everyone seemed to love it, and then I read it and it didn't feel fresh, it didn't have a new concept, and it made me feel really depressed. Actually, it was not a great book in my opinion. But definitely, like, Sleep and the Spindle was the biggest disappointment of this year so far. The biggest surprise, I'm going to say, was Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Oseman. I've said in previous videos, but for whatever reason, I had put off picking up Heartstopper because I thought that it wouldn't be for me. And then I picked it up and I absolutely adored it. And I was kind of mad at myself for not getting to it sooner because it was so cute, so wholesome, and just absolutely a lovely read. The next question is favourite new author, debut or new to you? And for that, I'm going to say Paul Tremblay. I listened to Head Full of Ghosts about 2 weeks ago, and I really enjoyed the way that you're not quite sure if it's humans being dark and horrible or if it is slightly paranormal. And it was the same for The Cabin at the End of the World. And the way that both of these books ended was absolutely fantastic. Like, they leave the reader to make their own conclusions about it, and I just absolutely loved it. I also have a copy of Tremblay's anthology, Growing Things, which I'm excited to read soon, but I do want to read his back catalogue first because I know that a lot of the short stories kind of link in with previous books, so I'd like that extra kind of knowledge before I read it. The next question is newest fictional crush. Now, this is a question that I had a lot of difficulty with because I don't tend to have much in the way of fictional crushes. So I think I ended up saying Bacchus from the Spellbreaker duology by Charlie N. Holmberg. He just, he struck me as a lovely gentleman, and like, I don't usually go in for deep voices, but I imagined him as having like a really deep sensual voice. I don't know. Newest favourite character. I mean, it's got to be Jude from A Little Life. And I'm not going to say any more about it, but I just fell in love with the character so much. I just wanted everything for him. And then book that made you cry. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't say A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. It did make me cry so much. I listened to it at work on an audiobook, and then like I continued listening to it on my journey home. And I have about an hour-long bus ride, and I had tears streaming down my face for the whole of the bus ride. It was really sad, but also really beautiful. But I also want to mention Forever Ends on Friday by Justin A. Reynolds. it was one of those books where very early on it had me crying, and then I didn't really stop crying for the whole of the book. And I think it was made worse by the fact that I went into it blind. I had no idea what was going to happen in Forever Ends on Friday. I mean, same with A Little Life, but everyone says that A Little Life is sad. In fact, a lot of people call it the big sad. So I knew to expect to be sad with this book. I did not even slightly expect that I would be crying from start to finish with Forever Ends on Friday. But also, it is one of my 5-star reads for the year. The next book is a book that made you happy. And thankfully, there are a lot of books that made me happy. But I loved On a Sunbeam by Tillie Walden. It just had such beautiful, cute vibes. And the artwork is just absolutely stunning. I'm trying to find some gorgeous artwork. Also, it has like amazing non-binary rap and queer rap in general, to be honest. Like, look at that artwork. So beautiful. And it was one of these books that was really quite sweet as well. The next question is the most beautiful book that you've bought so far. And I could not decide on just one book. So I'm going to quickly mention like my newest beautiful book, and then I'm going to talk about the 2 books that I originally answered for this question. Oh, my book's got foiling on the front, which is I'm like a little kitty cat, easily amused. But it is the Fairy Loot edition of Witches Steeped in Gold, and as you can see, it's got beautiful foiling on the front and on the back. It has a ribbon bookmark, gorgeous stenciled edges, and the foiling is also on the naked hardback. So beautiful. Also, like, green's my favourite colour, so even better. But the other 2 books that I included were Circus of Wonders, because look at those sprayed edges, absolutely gorgeous. Also, like, I just like the black sprayed edge at the top and at the bottom. I can't remember. Oh no, this doesn't have the hand-drawn end papers. But I'm hoping this book is as beautiful, like story-wise, as it is physically beautiful. And the other beautiful book that I've got is I think it's the Forbidden Planet edition of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. It's got this really stunning blue sprayed edge, and then the naked hardback is like this. I think all of the editions of Addie LaRue have got a beautiful naked hardback, but it's the blue sprayed edges and like the blue detailing on the cover that does it for me. And we're into the last couple of questions. We've got, what books do you need to read before the end of the year? And I'm just going to say I have a 21 in 21. I've read maybe a third of them so far. But I think the biggest priority has got to be The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, as I own 4 editions of it. So I really need to read it and hopefully love it, because it's going to be slightly heartbreaking if I own 4 editions of this book and don't absolutely love it. I will also say I need to read One Piece, which is this chunker right here. I tried to read it in 2020, didn't succeed. Really want to try and read it in 2021. And the final question is one that I'm going to absolutely fail at, and it is favourite book to movie adaptation you've seen this year. And I have big problems with this because I don't really watch much TV or films. So I'm just going to say I think it's a book. It was a book first, but I don't know. And I'm going to say The Queen's Gambit because I watched the first episode and really enjoyed it, and do plan on continuing the series. I know it's not a movie, but the closest I've got. And that is my mid-year free cat tag. If you haven't done this tag yet, consider this me tagging you, and I'd love to know your answers to any of these questions. And until next time, bye!